Welcome, everybody, to the Chiro Kings Podcast. I got my co-host here, Dr. Chris Sancom.
Hello, everybody.
And I'm Dr. Matt Alexander. And today we have a very, very special guest, Dr. Phil Dieter. Philip Dieter? What's your mom call you?
Man, these days everybody just calls me Dr. Phil.
Dr.
I used
Phil?
to resist it a lot when I was first in practice.
Because of the Dr. Phil. Because of the Dr. Phil from the TV show.
You end up starting to hear all their problems and not correct their spinal issues.
Hey, it gives you like 10 or 15 seconds to start building rapport when you let them call you Dr. Phil. So
There you go. All right. So Dr. Phil is a chiropractor, business coach, founder of the BlueChip Chiropractic Network, which I've used, by the way, with over 20 years of experience. He successfully operates 2 clinics in the Bay Area and serves as an adjunct professor at Life Chiropractic College West, which I'm teaching there with him now, too. So we are colleagues there.
We are.
Where are your 2 locations, Phil?
The first one's in South San Jose, and then the second one's in Morgan Hill.
Okay, nice. And as president-elect of CalChiro Association, Phil has been a key figure in shaping legislative agendas and advocating for chiropractic rights and recognition. And he's been doing a wonderful job at that. Now, just to clarify, president-elect is the current sitting president? Right.
Actually, I'm president now. I was president-elect last year.
Okay.
So you get elected as president-elect, which is kind of like the vice president. You move into the president position, and then you move out into the past president. So it's really like a 3-year term.
Oh, okay. I got you. So Dr. Shapiro's coming in next year, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And you're in now, and who's the one who just finished?
Dr. Casey Tucker.
That's Casey Tucker. Okay, cool. So just so I understand all that. So is there a name for the outgoing president? Did they have put a name on that?
Past president.
All right. So you got president-elect, president, and past president. Got it.
You got it. Yep.
Got it. Just
I'm glad we got to the bottom of that.
What does the incumbent mean? We were talking about that earlier. Incumbent president?
Don't ask me these things online. I don't know anything.
Is that the existing president, that him?
Yeah, that's the existing president.
Okay. So he's not the president-elect anymore. This is old. He is the existing president. His dedication and strategy vision have earned him recognition, including roles as chair of the Governmental Affairs Committee and Governmental Affairs Category Expert for the CalChiro Association. Phil's contributions have been instrumental in driving positive change within the profession. Through mentorship and advocacy, he is committed to empowering the next generation of chiropractors, leaving a lasting impact on the profession. So I was just saying earlier in our last podcast, sort of jokingly but sort of true, is I basically don't have any respect for any chiropractors that aren't if they live in California and they're not members of the CCA and they don't associate with the PAC. I just tell them, don't even look me in the eye, because you are not my equal. No, but seriously, people like to complain all the time, but a lot of people like to complain and not do anything about it. And the way we do something about it is by joining the association, attending Legislative Day, and joining the PAC, and then joining your local chapter as well. Right?
Yeah,
am I wrong, Phil?
Involved.
Right?
No, sir. I mean, I'm 100% behind you. That's why I've done what I've done, and I continue to do what I do. And I mean, I think now the position I'm in, I'm always looking for ways to support chiropractors, new and existing chiropractors, because they really just don't know the resources that we have, from a chiropractic profession or at the Chiropractic Association. And a lot of times I find myself connecting the dots, in terms of like, hey, I need help with this. Oh, okay. Well, did you know that we had this resource kind of thing? Or, I wish we could make a change in this. Well, have you considered talking to your local legislator, kind of thing? And people get intimidated by that a lot of times, to be honest with you. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm dense, or I don't know what it is, hard-headed. I just have always just gone into their offices and said, hey, I'm Dr. Phil, I'm a chiropractor. I'm an advocate for our profession. Here's what I'm looking to accomplish. Are you willing to help me, or how can I help you so that we can help each other, type of thing. And like I said, I got to work on that bio a little bit. Now that I hear you read it, I'm like, oh, that sounds so boring and so banal that I got to.
Sounds pretty prestigious to me. I don't know. It sounds pretty good, Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
No, you're only as good as your last game, right, or your last achievement.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe we should put what your handicap is there in there. Make it a little add in some fun facts in there.
24.5. 24.5. Not good.
So Dr. Phil, tell us what the status is right now. What are we working on right now in California? I mean, we have people outside of California too, but because we have the president of California Chiropractic Association on with us today, we're gonna focus a little bit more about this. If you're in another state or another country, join your local association and chip in over there. They need you. But for us, What are we working on right now in California? I know last year at Ledge Day, we were working on the animal chiropractic stuff. There was, I think, something, was it with Medi-Cal or something we were working on too? What are the bills that we're fighting for and working on right now?
Sure. I think there's three major things that we have identified. I won't prioritize them in any hierarchy, anything like that, but I think it all starts with the essential healthcare benefits. President Obama said well over 15 years ago now that every provider gets to provide their services, gets to bill for it, and be on a level playing field, right? And then he said every state, and so that's how we created the Affordable Care Act. And so then every state was responsible for implementing the Affordable Care Act according to what he had created through different mechanisms, right? And in California, we created the California Exchange. And most people know that as like Covered California. Well, in California, they chose, each state typically has a benchmark plan. In California, they chose what was called the Kaiser 30 plan, which offered chiropractic coverage as a rider plan. So when every other healthcare company went to mimic the Kaiser 30 plan to offer up on the exchange, they excluded the chiropractic portion. So as of now, we still do not have people with chiropractic coverage that have Affordable Care Act plans. We're one of only 4 states in the whole United States that doesn't include chiropractic on Affordable Care Act plans, which is a travesty if you ask me. And so we've been, that's kind of really how I started getting involved in governmental advocacy and legislative advocacy. We've been trying to reach out to the legislators to say, hey, President Obama said we should be included. And then they bounce us over to the Department of Managed Healthcare. And they're like, oh, well, we're waiting for guidance from the federal government. And the federal government says, no, we gave the states the opportunity to dictate, how they're going to implement this. And so we've been getting runaround, for the better part of 15 years. And through some strategic alliances and, people like yourself who have been PAC contributors, I'm very grateful to you, Matt, for doing that. We've been able to get some sort of audience with legislators about that sort of oversight, right? Because we're trying to resolve this for California and to get people access to chiropractic care and by any means necessary, right? And I know not everybody wants to accept health insurance, and not everybody's really excited about taking managed care and those kind of things. But really, it boils down to a matter of respect in my mind, right? So that we're on that level playing field.
It's a slap in the face to exclude us. It puts us at a lower tier. We get the same level of education as a medical doctor, but it puts us at a lower tier when they say, chiropractic is not that important. We're not going to cover that. And then what happens is everybody that doesn't have health care, that's, everyone who has Obamacare, which tend to be lower income people, if they don't have cash means to pay for care, they're not getting care. So it's just screwing a lot of people out of chiropractic.
I'm no longer willing to accept that we're inferiorly educated. That's the narrative that's out there. And, I look at a guy like Chris. Chris was one of my students, and I'm so proud of him. And, I commend you for what you're achieving there and what you're doing with Matt. And, you were a great student. I should have known even back then, that you would be achieving these kind of things. But, hopefully you don't feel like you're inferiorly educated, right? And I think that the professors that we have at Life West Chiropractic College too, they deserve that level of respect and effort on our part to validate and to just say, hey, you guys did everything you could by us to educate us to the fullest extent of the degree kind of thing. But going back to, so that's probably one of the primary things that we continue to stay focused on. Now, through some interesting courses of events, we're actually asking that bill be amended, because even though we brought it to everybody's attention to revisit it, they only selected 3 things this year to be included, the 4th of which was chiropractic, which is still excluded, even though we brought it forward as something to be reviewed. So right now we're opposing the current bill, and hopeful that it'll become a 2-year bill, so that we can continue to get further clarification from the federal government and get inclusion in those Affordable Care Act plans. So, the second of which you already...
I was just going to say, so basically, Phil, if we want to stop getting treated like a second-class doctor, right?
Healthcare
provider, we need people to donate to the PAC so that we have money to get in front of the legislators, because it costs money to do that. And we need a bunch of people showing up to Ledge Day fighting for our rights, and so we can talk to more people when we go out and do that, right? Because those are the people who are going to make the decision, right?
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I have put myself in a position to go to those events, been a PAC contributor. And when I go to those events, I make sure they know who Dr. Phil is, and we were laughing about that earlier, how I kind of have run with that brand. But when I go to these legislative events, these things cost $5-10 grand, in many cases. And we really don't get invited unless we have a lobbying group that represents us, right? But now I can tell you that, outside of just the only person I really haven't had much of an audience with is the governor. We have had other members of our association go to the governor's events, but Speaker of the Assembly, Speaker of the Senate, we're regular attendees at their fundraisers, and they know who Dr. Phil is. Even so that, I have been in situations where people have tried to treat us as, second-class healthcare providers, or treat me as inferiorly educated. And, I was able to take that moment to reflect on who we are, what we stand for, really draw upon the chiropractic philosophy, to be honest with you. And in that moment, I was able to change the room in that sense. And everybody started telling me their chiropractic stories by the time we left that event and those kind of things. And so, that's what I'm looking to do, is just get into more of those rooms, because without being in those rooms, the decision, the narrative gets dictated for us.
Or I also think that it's about serving more people. And like Dr. Matt highlighted, if you're in a lower socioeconomic level and you can't afford chiropractic care, if there's any way of finding it through some of these bills and finding more coverage in those programs, that's a great thing for our profession and the people we serve. We provide a high quality care that changes lives. So being left out as the natural solution to a lot of these conditions, rather than some other, I don't want to get too in the weeds, but some other program that gets people hooked on drugs. I'm not anti-medicine, but why can't we approach some of these things to see if we can do it in a natural way and serve our population and our community to have people live healthier, happier lives?
And that's certainly one of the objections that I get from a lot of chiropractors around the state, is that, I don't want to join the association or donate to the PAC because I don't really care about taking insurance or being involved in these kind of things. And so I feel it's a little short-sighted. I understand their premise, right? And but I also don't want chiropractic care just to be for people who can afford it, right? We barely serve 10 to 15% of the population. We're not going to change worldviews. We're not going to change the way that the population thinks by serving 10 to 15%. We've got to reach that point of critical mass where we go over that tipping point and start serving 25, 30, 45%, so people are really embracing chiropractic care as part of their lifestyle. And that's part of the reason that I do this. But I was going to say the second thing that we've really been advocating for is Medi-Cal inclusion, because again, we were removed from Medi-Cal over 10 years ago. And we have been on the governor's desk each of the last 3 years as part of the budget. Unfortunately, we've been removed as one of the final cuts. Again, everybody knows about our budget problems here in California. And so it gets tough to advocate, even though it's a $1 to $2 million ask for chiropractic care, when people are really struggling to get basic essential services. And then, like you said, the animal chiropractic bill is something that has come up this year through the efforts of Dr. Marissa Palmer and Dr. Beck Jarzembek, who are two tremendous ladies. They've been in that space forever. And the reality is that we're dealing with the wild west of animal chiropractic. There's people out there just doing anything and everything that they want to do without any license, calling it chiropractic, without any advanced education and all of those kind of things. And in many cases, there's chiropractors who have done the homework, who have put in the extra time, getting cease and desist letters. So we're trying to resolve that by creating a animal chiropractic law.
Nice. Thanks, Phil. And how's that going, by the way? Do you think we're going to get that? Because basically we're trying to get the law where the governing body for that is the chiropractic board, not the veterinary board, correct?
Correct. We want the BCE to be the ones that have regulatory oversight of that. And they are encouraged to do that, to be honest with you. I got to give the BCE credit for that. Right now the bill is going to go into a 2-year cycle. So that's not an uncommon thing for bills to be pushed out, 2 years, somewhat for people to get more information. We've got to resolve a lot of issues with, we get opposition from the Veterinary Medical Association and from the not as much from the veterinary board as the association, but it really just boils down to market share is what we're talking about. And in some cases, I feel like they just oppose for opposition's sake because, everybody's battling for market share. Everybody's worried about, sometimes I feel like they put less of either the person or the animal's, situation, interest. Yeah. Thank you. Ahead of, how's this going to affect the market share kind of thing and so that's the argument that we're trying to make to the legislature is that, this is good for animals, animal owners. We want people to be doing it the right way. Just like chiropractic, everyone, I'm sure you guys encounter people that come and tell you, oh, I heard so-and-so, got injured from getting a chiropractic adjustment or whatever, right? And my response is always like, yeah, that's why you want to come to a licensed chiropractor and not have, your friend or your significant other cracking you up in the living room, kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Because
we've put a lot of time and effort into getting educated. We've dedicated our lives to taking care of people. And with any procedure, there's, some inherent risk, right? And so you want to go to the person who has the most education, who's dedicated their life to doing this type of thing and takes all the precautions and knows all the contraindications and all that kind of thing. So it's much the same argument in that arena right now.
Cool. Well, hey, Phil, thank you for sharing all that stuff. I want to hit 2 more topics today. I want to know a little bit more about BlueChip, and I want to know a little bit about, the market today for, hiring associates and practices. And then I do want to talk a little bit about Life West today, too, and some of the programs that are going on in Life West. Any particular ones you want to talk about, whether marketing, operations, and different things. And the anatomy program at Life West. I know that you know some stuff about that. So let's talk about the BlueChip first. So right now, I feel like a lot of chiropractors are looking for associates, and there's not really enough associates to go around. That's what I'm hearing from other doctors. We've been lucky enough at Alexander Chiropractic to attract and retain good chiropractors, I think, because we have a good compensation package and we've got a good upside and a good training program and a good reputation. But the general thing I'm hearing is it's hard for people to find associates to work from them. Is that what you're hearing as well, Phil? And what kind of solutions do you have for that?
Well, first of all, Matt, I think you make your own luck. And, having spent more time with you and seen how your operation works, you got a lot to help people learn about running clinics, about managing associates, all of those kind of things, right? And the BlueChip Chiropractic Network was largely born out of me observing that, students were looking largely for associate positions. In many cases, and Chris can maybe attest to this too, you weren't necessarily raised with parents that started their own businesses and things like that, or this generation anyways, I should say, maybe not Chris so much, but their parents went to work for corporations, and they got consistent paychecks that had benefits and all those kind of things, right? And so that's sort of the mindset that they had, maybe even going into chiropractic, that there was infrastructure behind us. The chiropractic profession has lacked for infrastructure for many different reasons and things of that nature. But then on the other side, I had people that were, had been in practice 20, 30 years and things like that, saying, hey, do you know anybody that wants to be hired, right? And so I just started putting people together in that regard and trying to help, both people. I always make it about the relationship, right? I'm a firm believer that if I stay focused on the relationships and preserving the relationships and just helping people get what they need, they're going to help me inherently get what I need in that regard. And so that's kind of how the BlueChip Chiropractic Network was born, right? But what I've come to learn is not everybody really understands what it means to be an employer and maybe even be an employee, or what it means to go to work on a regular basis, right? Just like they observe their parents not working as entrepreneurs, they observe their parents getting 9-to-5 jobs and things like that. Their parents also really haven't given them the opportunity to learn how to work, right? And so in some cases, teaching people how to work and turning in PTO requests and clocking in on a regular basis, or, something along those lines, they're like, oh, well, my parents never made me do those kind of things, right? And so there's a little bit of a disconnect still that we have there in the marketplace with the potential prospects and things of that nature. And so now people have been reaching out to me, hey, can you help me manage this associate, right? And I don't want to necessarily manage the associate as much as help the existing practitioners. I feel like I do my best work with the existing practitioners to learn how to be managers, right? It's that player-coach concept. I was always a big fan of Pete Rose, and I think he was one of the best player managers that ever existed, right? He could be both on the field, make the lineup, and in some cases probably do some other stuff that he wasn't supposed to do. But, that's the concept that not a lot of people have really embraced, because they're expecting these students to come out of school ready to go, hit the ground running, have all their adjusting skills like at top notch, have all their business and recruiting and their marketing skills really honed in. And that's just not the reality. As you've probably seen now from, working at Life West a little bit, the majority of students, the majority of people are trying to do their best to get through the board exams, right? And that's, I would say, in some respects, the college's responsibility is to get you through the program, to be able to pass the boards and those kind of things. And so, I also believe that we really lack for residencies in the chiropractic profession. Because if you look at like the medical profession, the residencies are where you learn how to manage cases, you learn how to treat patients. Now, obviously, they, in most cases, don't have to market themselves and learn business acumen like we have to learn in the chiropractic profession. But there is that grace period for, medical practitioners of whatever it is, 1, 2, maybe 3 years, where they do a residency. And so I think that's where the associate model can really become helpful, or has been helpful in the chiropractic profession. But there also is then a reframing of the employers that has to go on, where, okay, if I'm going to bring in somebody young and moldable, I'm going to have to put this level of training and effort into them. Well, they haven't established their training programs. They don't have a structure around teaching people how to manage cases, how to onboard people, maybe to go through a day 1, day 2, those kind of things. And so those are some of the things that I'm working with people on now.
Yeah, I feel like that is one of the main reasons why I gravitated towards you in school, is because I realized that, I got to get through boards, but what after? What goes on after you leave here? And I was lucky enough to meet Dr. Alexander, of course, but something that I think is special that we're building right now is that infrastructure. We're trying to create a culture of learning in our practice. We're trying to, the statistic, I don't know if it's still true, that, 50% of chiropractors are done within 5 years. That's not good enough for me. And I want to have a place where people can come and learn our systems, learn how to take care of people. Hopefully they stick around. If they decide to take our systems, go elsewhere, they're not going to be my competitor. They're going to be helping more people serve. And if you come from that place of abundance, while also honing in our systems and our operations to make sure that we're doing right by our associates, doing right by our staff, doing right by our patients, it elevates the whole profession. So I think that's my main purpose here is trying to serve associates now. I've grown into that role where I'm teaching doctors how to communicate chiropractic, to communicate the ebbs and flows of a lumbar radiculopathy case. I'm communicating how to do some marketing, how to do some, networking. All those things are lost on our profession, and we act like, well, why don't we get $150,000 and benefits? It's like you got to go get it. You got to go work hard and go get it. So I believe strongly that we need to do more.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head.
Well, and as far as the systems go, when I talked to Phil the first time I worked with BlueChip, he asked me, do you have a training program or a training model? I was like, well, I have yeah, we have a system, the way we do things, but it's kind of like we train them on the spot, and I kind of have it written down here and there. And then I don't know if you even remember that conversation or not, Phil, but just the fact that you asked me that question is something that I never forgot. And it's something that I kind of knew needed to be done. And when you asked me that, you kind of just triggered something in me that realized that's what associates want. And how many times have you heard from an associate, oh, I work for so-and-so doctor, and I thought that they were going to teach me this, that, and the other, and they just don't have any time for me and never teach me anything. And so what we've been working on, we've been using a program called Trainual, and you can create videos or you can write down SOPs, and you put your whole org chart in there, and for each hat in the org chart, you can assign trainings to it, and you can have videos and SOPs and stuff in there, and you can have it all ready to go. So we've been working with that for a few months now, trying to load all our systems into one place where a new employee can get onboarded and do, work through all their training and even have like quizzes and stuff in through there. So I'm not going to say that it's like perfect or all built out,
No.
but we do have a good system, and we are working on putting it in place. And since that time too, we did implement every month, doctors get a doctor training. We all meet in one office, and Dr. Williams and Dr. Chris run it, and they train the doctors on protocols like you were talking about, lumbar disc protocols.
Right.
And
well,
all
that's
this
what I was
stuff.
going to say is that Trainual is a foundation, but then we also need to train some of our best associates to be leaders and take the responsibility to improve your colleagues next to you. And that's what I think has been so awesome and collaborative about the doctor's training is that the melding of minds is something that chiropractic also doesn't have. We just talked about how we need to have more referral patterns with our specialists, whether it be upper cervical or someone. I've got doctors that come to me just for extremity care. That kind of coming together to be a better product is how we serve more people.
I like it.
I love that you guys are doing that, man. And you kind of touched on something that I think is important to mention to people, that the majority of people that started practices 30, 40 years ago, they were largely entrepreneurial people, and they became the primetime player in their practice, right? They were the quarterback. They were the number 4 hitter, they hit cleanup, that kind of thing, right? And they had to position themselves as that to compete in the marketplace. And so as they started bringing associates in, it became a competition with them and their associates for supremacy, even in their own office, right? And what I'll commend like you guys on, and I saw it firsthand, is how you're lifting each other up, and you're basically helping each other build each other up, right? Because you can only be as strong as your weakest link in that environment. And so that's one of the other important pieces of the puzzle that I always tell people is that you've got to be ready to support that individual as much as they're supporting you, right? And because you guys sniffed it out, Chris. Like I can remember when we were first, working together at the school. You guys are like, oh, these guys just want us to come in, hire us an associate, and they're expecting us to buy their practice, and they want to sell it to us for little or nothing, and and then they're just going to run off, kind of thing. And you guys are like, wait a minute, time out. Like I see what's up here, And so there was a big disconnect in there. I think that's less now. So I think that part's good. And I think some of the franchises, and you guys have, multiple locations as well that have created infrastructure and systems and things like that. And kind of that residency almost model has helped to reframe that whole dilemma that we had as a profession.
Yeah, we've created more of like a career path where you can come in as a preceptor. Yeah. If you do well, then you move into associate. If you do well, you move into clinic director where you're running the clinic. And then from there, right. Chris has moved up to being my operations manager now, where all the clinic directors of the clinics report to Chris. So technically, since I'm still practicing in one of the clinics,
I'm your boss now.
I report to Chris.
Yeah, there we go.
He's our FA now.
Clip that one, Alina. I need that one for me, please.
Okay, I want to hear a little bit about the school because I'm a new teacher at the school. Right now, I'm just covering 2 courses, Toggle and now Diversified 1, 2. But you listed some new anatomy stuff going on, some marketing, some operations. I want to hear a little bit about the business end of things. Of course, that's kind of my main interest. Where are we at right now with the business of chiropractic? I actually got a meeting with the president in 2 weeks. We're going to talk a little bit about it, Dr. Kevorkian. But yeah, I know they just reorganized the last class there's one class, Dr. Oberstein's daughter, I think, is teaching it like 10th,
Yeah.
11th quarter. I know they're revamping the preceptorship program, which is sort of that residency that's needed that you're talking about. So it's definitely on the mind of the school. I've always said Life West is the very best school for technique because they teach the most techniques and they teach them pure the way they were intended to be. And it has the best philosophy too. What we really want to nail down for Life West is have it be the best business program too. And I know the school's thinking about it. They're making some changes. I kind of want to know, you probably know more about it than me. Where are we at right now with that?
I don't know much about the changes. When it comes to teaching business concepts, I have changed my mindset about it a little bit because I feel like there's not a lot of context around it in the classroom because we are trying to get people through boards and, get them as much exposure to technique and clinical experience and things of that nature, right? And so that's really why, I'm shifting a little bit of my focus into helping people after they graduate, right? Where they can have, if my goal now has been in the business curriculum really to just give people exposure to those concepts to some extent, right? So that when they come back to me in a year or two after graduation and they're like, oh, what do I do about this? I'm like, well, do you remember week 7 of office procedures? We had a whole module about that.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. I'm like, well, let's go back and no. So, just kind of giving them some exposure to that because as you said, I think one of the other critical points that you made there is that philosophical education that you get at Life West, I think is invaluable because one of the problems that I've seen for new graduates is not believing in what they do. They graduate with a 4-year degree in science and technique, but they haven't really embraced the philosophy. And so their confidence and certainty in what they do is really lacking. And a lot of times when, it's easy to be enthusiastic about chiropractic when you're sitting in the hot tub, the chiropractic hot tub, and you're drinking the chiropractic Kool-Aid, and we're all going to be at the wave probably here together pretty soon, and that'll be a lot of fun. But what do you do when it boils down to Monday morning at 9 a.m. and nobody showed up in your office, right? Or if you've got a patient on Wednesday afternoon when everybody's waiting to go home that is, telling you didn't do something right or that you did something wrong or, that you are a terrible chiropractor. So what happens in those moments? How do you respond and how do you react to those challenging times, right? And my experience has been that you can always go back to the chiropractic philosophy. And if you can stay rooted in that chiropractic philosophy, it'll pull you out of those situations. It's pulled me out of legislative situations in which people were trying to challenge me about who I was, what we do, all of those kind of things. And so I think that's one of the most important things that, I can say about Life West is that you get that exposure to the philosophical foundation of chiropractic, and that, you obviously you get that technique exposure like you're talking about and that kind of thing. I mean, I'm so blessed to have been around Life West my whole life, really. My dad's been a chiropractor for 50 years. We'd go to DE meetings all the time where Dr. Sid really developed the mission of lasting purpose. And, when Life West was first opened up, he had reached out to, obviously, Dr. Klum to run the institution, and then he reached out to my dad shortly after about coming out there to be the chairman of the board. And so I've gotten to see, the college for the entirety of my life, and to be around that, for all my life. I'm naive to what it's like to be outside of the chiropractic bubble, right? We'd go to DE for vacations, and so I know not everybody has had that opportunity.
Tax write-off.
Yeah, there you go.
I've got a hot take on this.
Okay.
And I'm
all right.
I'm not an adjunct professor at Life West, so I can say this. I truly enjoyed my time there. I thought it was an amazing program, and they helped me be sufficient enough to be a good adjuster and to get through boards. What I had a problem with was the student body having this sense of victimhood. It was nonstop. We're not getting enough. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. And cover your ears, everybody. Life's full of shit sometimes. And you got to navigate it in your own way. And that's why I gravitated to Dr. Phil. It's why I gravitated to Dr. Francis. That's why I sat down with Oberstein multiple times while I'm there. I wasn't going to be the one that fails after 5 years because someone asked me to do an extra project and I thought, no, that's not in my curriculum. I'm not doing that. You got to go learn how to do it. So I think the school has a big responsibility to get people through the program, and that's their business model, and that's okay. But as a student, and all the students listening to this, Go make connections, create a network, learn from the expertise of the people around you outside of your office hours. Dr. Phil, how often did I come see you outside of class and just talk to you about what's going on in whatever you're doing? I think that's the most important thing. You can't just sit back and have things come to you. And I'm seeing more and more of that with young associates. I'm seeing more and more of that with students. I'm seeing more and more of that in our state. So get to work.
Well, one of the things I'd love to see happen is that, the college raises its entrance requirements to require a 4-year degree, or the board requires that. I know the college isn't going to like it if they hear me say that, kind of thing. And because it is such a tuition-driven institution and that kind of thing. And I know, I always hear that argument about C is for chiropractor, and I have seen some chiropractors that weren't great academic students become great chiropractors. So I understand, all sides of that coin, but to your point, I think that's a little bit of where that comes from, and that we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard, right? And that's really what I'm trying to do with the association and just in life, is surround myself with people that have that level of standards, and this is their life's purpose, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to go into a legislative arena, to go into their communities, to even stand up for chiropractic in their own offices, right? Because you guys could tell me, I'm sure you've had similar experiences where people try to come into an office and tell you what chiropractic is good for, how to adjust them, and those kind of things. And so, we've got to raise our standards in chiropractic.
Right. They say you get in life what you're willing to tolerate.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So if the school is willing to tolerate students that are underproducing or subpar, that's what they're going to get. If you raise the bar, I understand the revenue part of it too, but have they ever? I mean, I guess I'm too new to really be asking these kind of questions, but I would think hey, is there any other way to get revenue? Can we make the health center more profitable? I don't know. But if you sometimes you raise the bar and you just get better people, and then the school gets a better reputation, and then it can have money to fix the school up. It's looking a little run down, if I'm being honest. And then maybe you attract, a little higher talent to come into the school. All the students are really nice and great. I've loved everyone I've worked with there, but it's the same as your practice,
Yeah. One of the really cool opportunities that's going to present itself here shortly for Life West even is that these additional education sites are the opportunity to combine chiropractic programs with existing institutions like in Nebraska, that we Life West just opened up and things like that. That's going to shift the chiropractic education model somewhat because they have infrastructure. They already have anatomy teachers. They already have biology teachers and things of that nature. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where that goes. And I'm supportive of that because I think it takes a little bit of that burden off of the institution to be so tuition driven.
Yeah, I think just taking that same principle to our practices, like you were talking about, a real good look at if you're doing enough, being self-aware of where your limitations are, where your strengths are, and trying to be a better version of yourself. It goes a long way in business, in politics, in family relationships. It's just always trying to be self-aware and be a better version. It generally comes back tenfold.
All right, Dr. Phil.
One of the things that I have seen. Yes, sir.
Oh, question for you. You got a lot of good wisdom nuggets from you. So I want to hear, or you've given me a lot of good nuggets, and I want one more out of you. So you're kind of like me in the way that we both got a lot going on. We got multiple practices. We work at the school. We got our own business stuff going on the side. We're both running podcasts and all this. You're the president of the CCA. Sometimes I get a little overwhelmed. It's a lot. I keep trudging forward, but I got 4 kids and a wife. They like to see me every once in a while, What kind of tips would you give me for just managing the volume of stuff? Like, I feel like it's just a lot of stuff on my plate all the time.
Yeah, I was going to talk about what Chris was saying there in terms of, that mindset piece, right? And one of the tools that I've used throughout my life is this thing called the Winner's Journal, which is really just a daily planner. And it has allowed me to, like, the things that I wrote down in my Winner's Journal 15 years ago are the things that I have. And it's that daily discipline of looking at the affirmations, writing down, like when you talk about a feeling of overwhelm, right? And overwhelm just means you have so many opportunities coming at you. You're not having an opportunity to discern what's a good opportunity and what's a bad opportunity, right? And so I think the first thing is when you're getting those moments of intrinsic inspiration, and quite honestly, the things that I do now, the Chiropractic Association, still teaching, running, taking care of people, those are things that I'm intrinsically inspired to do. I learned that from DeMartini, that the things that wake you up in the middle of the night and you're intrinsically inspired to do, those are the things that you got to follow. Those are the things that are going to make you, feel those goosebumps on your skin. And when you're doing that, you can't go wrong. I mean, I'm an achiever by nature, right? And so I have learned that when I'm intrinsically inspired to achieve around a worthy goal and a cause, that's when I'm at my best. And so I try to stay focused on that. So I'm very disciplined about using my winner's journal on a daily basis, reading my affirmations, writing down all of the things that I have to do, and somewhat prioritizing it, because I will tell you that there's many things that you feel like you have to do that as you start going through the things that are on your list, they're not as big a priority as you thought they were going to be. And they either fall off your list or you're like, oh, that wasn't as, important as I thought it was going to be. And so, constantly working that list. Like if you could see my desk right now with the list that I have and my whiteboard and my daily planner and all those things, that's how I'm keeping track of all that. But that intrinsic inspiration, I think, is the most key for me in terms of doing all of those things. And then just, doing as much as you can, with the time that you have, and being mindful of, when I'm ready to work, I work. If I need to take some time to not work, I don't work, right? And then this concept of being a student of your calendar was something that I've recently, I didn't steal, but I utilized from this guy named Dave Meltzer and Sean Dill through the Black Diamond Club and things like that, because being a student of your calendar is so key, where, when it's patient treating time, I have it written on I have a phone calendar that I follow, and it sends me alert from 8:30 to 12:30. It's time to take care of people, right? On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday kind of thing. On Tuesdays, that's, a secondary treating day for me. And so that's where, in the morning I do my BlueChip stuff, or I have calls for CalChiro or whatever it is. And so just staying focused on the right thing at the right time has become so important for me. And then one of the other really important things that I've been utilizing more closely now, Sean calls it the decision diamond, but I've seen it differently from different people in different ways and things like that. But I think of it, I was telling my wife about hell yeah opportunities, right? That I forget who I learned this hell yeah opportunity thing from, but basically when someone presents you with an opportunity, you got to ask yourself, like, okay, if this is something that's going to take me, do I want to do it? First of all, yes or no, right? Okay, so yes, I want to do it. Well, if it's going to take me twice as long and cost me twice as much, do I still want to do it, right? And then if it's still a yes, and then I can go down to the next sort of tier in the continuum. If it's possibly half as rewarding as I think it's going to be, do I still want to do it? And if it's still a yes after all of that, then it's a hell yeah opportunity. Like, let's go. Like, I'll give you an example. Like the lady who runs the Winner's Journal, she's almost in her 80s now. She's been reaching out to me for years about buying the Winner's Journal. And I have 15 or 20 of them in my office, that I've been using every year. And I'm finally at a point where, like, hell yeah, this is going to be something that defines my life, and I'm intrinsically motivated to do. I know it's going to take me twice as much time and twice as much effort as I think it's going to do. It's probably going to be half as rewarding as I think it's going to be, but I still want to do it. I'm still ready to do it. So that's just an example right now of like something that's going on in my life. I got a message that I got to get back to her on the phone from yesterday. So
cool. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate that.
Do you find strength in routine, Phil, or do you feel like, strength in routine?
Yeah, for sure. Because, life happens while you build your practice. Life happens while you build your life, right? And so at the end of the day, you don't want to go through the ebbs and flows or the highs and lows to one extreme or another. You want to be within one standard deviation of your mean, right? So if you're naturally a happier person, well, if you get too excited, that's problematic. And if you get too depressed, then that's problematic too, right? And so if you can just be kind of one standard deviation from happy or sad or those kind of things, then you never get too high, you never get too low. you just, like you said, Matt, you keep trudging, right? You just show up you get up the next morning, you get yourself ready, you get into the office, you read your affirmations, you set your goals, you write down your to-do list, you get ready, you start taking care of patients, you take care of patients, because it's easy to find people. When you have the opportunity to find and serve people, you can't have a bad day, right? Taking care of people lifts you up in many cases. And so, I always fall back on that. And it goes the same now. And as I'm trying to help people or do more consulting and things of that nature, I'm so intrinsically inspired to do that, because to your point, Chris, there's a lot of people that haven't done what you've done and haven't been willing to do what you've been willing to do. And so those are the people that I'm trying to help the most.
Yeah.
To say, hey, here's an opportunity to capitalize on the investment that you made in yourself. You spent $250, $300 grand to go get educated, to be able to pass boards, but now we got to get you prepared to, build a life, to get out of debt, to save for retirement, to have a standard and a quality of life that you expected when you went into chiropractic school. And so that's what I get really fired up about now.
I love it. I love that concept of being steady. It's something I see a lot in Dr. Matt. And now I know you're a good golfer. So when you get that shank shot, you don't freak out. You just settle down, hit the next one.
Yeah.
I need more practice. I need more time on the course, for sure.
One of our other docs, Dr. Adler, he was on our podcast before. He's a great doctor, one of the best adjusters I know, and very passionate doctor. But he can be emotional at times. He knows this. So
this ain't a secret.
Yeah. So one thing he's said to me several times is like, wow, Dr. Matt, like some crazy stuff can happen like in your business and life and stuff. And you're just kind of like, you just roll with it. And he's always like admired that about me. And I think I wasn't always that way. I think that early on in practice, I would ride the roller coaster of emotions that go along with practice.
Yeah.
You have a really good month and you're like buying stuff you shouldn't be buying. You're going to crazy expensive Warrior games. And then you got a bad month and you're like, I'm quitting. I'm moving to Mexico. I'm going to do a box on the wall practice in Cancun. It's over here, And it's like, that was kind of, I still have those thoughts sometimes, but I've learned to control the emotion that goes along with it. So sometimes if I wake up and I just feel like garbage, like I just don't want to do anything today. It's not that I hate chiropractic or anything. I always loved it, but maybe just feel like, it's just a weird day. But you have the wisdom now to go like, that feeling's going to pass. And, probably later on today, I'm going to meet a real cool patient. I'm going to have a great interaction with them and my spirits will be lifted. So, okay, cool. I feel like crap. So what? Just keep doing what I have to do.
Go serve.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I do what I have to do. It doesn't matter if I feel good or I feel bad. Do what I got to do, And then eventually it does turn into a good thing,
Yeah. I think that one thing that Phil said also that stood out to me is that with my new role, I will feel overwhelmed at times. But when I have my calendar where I know I'm going to be in office, I leave that stuff at the door and I focus on serving, and I come out rejuvenated to go complete the tasks that were daunting to me before. So finding those things in your life, maybe it's not serving your patients that gives that to you. Maybe if you're in another profession, you need to go play a round of golf or whatever. But getting that extra juice from something else to give again to something else that's been on your mind. So that's how I do it. As I go take care of 50 patients, then I feel better.
Love it.
Hey, and it's a great responsibility. It's such a blessing to be able to take care of people, right? But it is, our responsibility to have that present time consciousness so that we can be there for them when they're coming to us for help and that type of thing. And that's why I have the routine, because like you said, Matt, when I feel like garbage on a certain day, I get, I just go through the process, right? I read the affirmations, I do the visualization, I do the meditation, I write down the goals, I write down the list of to-do things. And slowly but surely, I start building myself back up, right? You have to build yourself up in strong and noble thought. And that's where I think a lot of new practitioners get in trouble, is that they go down this spiral of like, I'm not good enough. Should I have done this? That all the negative self-talk that people have, that's a natural part of life, right? And so if you can learn to control the negative self-talk, you'll start to see the blessings and gratitude, right? Is always, I start reminding myself what I'm grateful for, right? And the blessings that I have in my life, and naturally, the tide turns on that particular day.
I love it.
Love it too. You got any more final questions for Dr. Phil?
I feel like just the biggest thing would be, I know you already kind of do this in your day-to-day life, but what's one nugget? 'Cause I think majority of our people listening to this podcast are going to be students or new doctors. Apart from what we discussed today, do you have anything that's a nugget for them to get going in practice? Like, what would be your Dr. Phil statement of the day?
Well, I've really been diving into Patrick Lencioni's work, the ideal team player, concept about being hungry, humble, and smart. He talks about great employees and being how they just, great people that are, if you're hungry, you're humble, and you're smart, right? And being able to constantly learning, right? Constantly work on your adjusting skills, constantly trying to get better, all of those kind of things, right? Being humble enough to say, maybe I don't have it all figured out, but then also being hungry enough to go out there and do whatever it takes to succeed. And so I hear, I talk to students all the time, and people reach out. People reach out to me all the time, and they're always telling me about their limitation or what they can't do or this restriction or, and I'm like, tell me what you can do or tell me how you are going to get it done, right? There's so many people out there that get themselves caught up in a bureaucracy or the rules and the guidelines, and take a step back and just get creative with yourself. Like, well, then how are you going to get it done? Like, what are you really trying to accomplish? What's intrinsically motivating you? And then how do we get it done? Okay, if I can't do it this way, then I'll do it this way, right? I don't have any patients showing up in the morning, then I'm going to go around to 10 of the businesses within 10 miles of me, and I'm going to give them candy jars with my business card on it, right? It's better than sitting in your office waiting for somebody to show up, right?
Sure.
I can't do that because I can't do that. I'm embarrassed to go out there and, if you're hungry enough, I guess you go out there and do whatever it takes, kind of thing. But there's some just great, ways to put yourself out there. Again, go back to the philosophy of chiropractic, really understand what we do, why we do it, and make sure that resonates with you, because then when you go into the marketplace, I don't care where you're at, who you're in front of, the PTA, your kid's little league team, whatever it is, if somebody tries to tell you what chiropractic is good for you, be like, time out. No, I'm the chiropractor. I've done the education. I know what chiropractic is good for. I'll tell you what chiropractic is good for, right? I mean, they may be ignorant, or they may, not, they might tell you, I don't believe in chiropractic or something like that, or just not educated. Well, if that's the case, then let's get you educated, right? And do your homework, right? There's so much research coming out about chiropractic now that I don't think the new practitioners are keeping up with as much. When people tell me or asking me, what is an adjustment good for beyond pain relief, right? I got three things, right? I'm going to look at Scott Rosa's research on spinal fluid, CSF spinal fluid floating around around the brain when you get adjusted better. He did that research, for MS patients. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. Look at Heidi Havek's work about how your frontal lobe gets lit up when you get adjusted, so you make better decisions or you have better executive decision making. I mean, we've seen this stuff about, helping people avoid early onset arthritis and degeneration, but the implications of things like neurodegenerative diseases and making a good decision about where you put your foot on the pavement so that you don't fall and break your hip, those are life-changing implications. They go far beyond pain relief, right? And
for sure,
you have to have the ability to invite people into that conversation when they're ready. And I think I see so many people wanting to educate them all about chiropractic, when in their first visit, in their first few visits, right? But the road is long. I'm looking for people to be involved in my chiropractic practice and get chiropractic care for the rest of their lives and to utilize it as part of their lifestyle. And so if I have to educate them over 50 years, then that's what I'll do. But I'm going to keep towing the line. I'm going to stay consistent, just keep hitting the ball up the middle. The home runs will come, but just keep hitting the ball up the middle.
Beautiful.
Pretty good. Yeah. Well said. I think that's probably a good spot to end it out here. Well, but appreciate you, Dr. Phil, man. I feel like we need to, it's all business with us. I mean, we goof off a little too. But we need to go do something fun sometime. We need to go smack some golf balls around and
I'm available.
I don't know, get a steak or something. What days are you at the school?
Well, I only teach online now. That class that you were just talking about, that Dr. Oberstein, I think it's Sydney, right? That took over. It's
I don't know
her
her
daughter took over.
Yeah.
The class. she took they combined my marketing class with the launching your business class.
Right.
So now I only teach one online class. I'm not at the school.
What class?
The office procedure.
Okay.
That I teach now.
We still have office procedures.
Yeah.
So how many business classes are there? There's the Launch Your Business, Office Procedures. Is there any other ones?
I don't think so. I think that, well, there might be the...
is there an insurance one?
I really have to circle back. What we really need to do is we really need to find a new department head for Life West, because I don't think they have a department head. The last one, she was a great lady.
Yeah, Mary Jo.
Mary Jo.
She stepped down.
She was great.
GRE.
Great boss.
Yeah, she's great.
So
she just didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure you probably are in the same position as me. I thought about it, but I was like, I can't be there full time. We got too much going on. And I talked to Oberstein about it, and I talked to Donaldson about it, and I was like, guys, just get two of us to do it. We'll co-chair it. You know what I mean? Like, give me and Phil, or me and Brad, or Brad and Phil, or somebody the students like, and we'll co-chair it. We'll get it done. You know, I can't commit to being there full time. And I don't know how you feel, but you might be in the same boat as me. It's a lot of work to be there that much. And
it's a full-time job for you.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like nowadays with AI and stuff, I mean, like, we can be using ChatGPT to get any work administrative stuff done that needs to be built or created so much quicker than the old school way. I feel like two really efficient docs like you and I could do it, but they're hell bent on having a full-time person there, from what I can tell. So I've barked up Donaldson's tree a couple of times, and he likes me. I mean, I've been buddies with him since I was a student there, but it sounds like they just really.
Dr. Donaldson's great, man.
He said I think they're restructuring it, is the last I heard. So I'm not sure what's happening now. Maybe you know.
I don't. Yeah.
But he's on vacation this week. He'll be back next week.
Yeah. If you guys are going to be at the Wave, we should try to hang out at the Wave a little bit.
Cool.
I'm going to have a booth for CalChiro. You know, I'm always trying to get people on board as members. Appreciate you guys being on board as members and being PAC supporters and those kind of things. So if you have any friends or colleagues that you can bring by the booth, I'd love to meet them and, you know, just tell them what we're up to there and that kind of thing. And like I said, if you guys want to come to our fall conference, August 28th through 30th, reach out to me if you need. I got a $100 discount code for anybody who listens to the podcast. There you go. Just message me, or if you got my number, text me or call me, and I'll do anything I can to help you.
And how can people find you if they want to coach with you or do BlueChip?
Yeah, I have the BlueChipChiroNetwork.com. That's my main website for the consulting side of stuff. On Instagram, I'm at Dr. Phil. At Dr. Phil Dieter on Facebook. I've tried to keep everybody aware of what we got going on with the association, and we have all of our stuff through CalChiro that you can find and that kind of thing. And if you can join us on our weekly broadcast, Thursday at 1 p.m. It's youtube.com/CalChiro.org. You will find me. I usually interview either industry leaders. Tomorrow we're going to have somebody who specializes in work comp, Dr. Paul Marsh. Sometimes we have vendors on there to pay for the program. But the idea is that I love to create community through the YouTube channel. The sponsorship dollars, we actually raffle off the sponsorship dollars. Have you guys been on the broadcast at all?
I've seen one, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, nice. Well, I appreciate you being on the broadcast, but tomorrow we're raffling off $300, and to win the money, you have to be a member, you have to be on the broadcast, your name has to be selected at random, and you have to respond within 30 seconds that you're here, and you win the money. And we've had prize pools up to, I think $900 was the most we gave away one week. That was just pandemonium when a student won $900. My friend Dr. Grace Lau, she just won $500 a couple of weeks ago. So I think we're up to $400 tomorrow. So it's a lot of fun and just a great way to build community.
Awesome.
All right. Appreciate you, Dr. Phil.
Thanks, Dr. Phil.
We'll be in touch.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it, and hope to see you soon. We'll try to make that golf happen.
All right. Take care, buddy.